lovely. So for this Monday video, I thought I'd do something different. I was thinking about it last night, about all my palettes and what I'm using. I think doing these videos, you know, shopping my stash made me think of it. And I probably have never ever shared with you and shown you all the eyeshadow palettes that I have. So I thought I'd do that today. I won't be listing them all in a description box with the links. Please just pause the video if you're interested in one of them and then just find it. It would be just so much time and work to list every single palette and then the links for US and UK. Whenever I do looks with these palettes, and I've done a look with every palette probably that I've shown you, I would always leave the link under those videos, so there are links to those palettes somewhere. You might want to have a look at my playlist, which is called Eyeshadow Looks, and I'm sure in one of those videos, well, in a lot of those videos, I would have used some of these palettes. You know, eyeshadows are everything to me. Eyeshadows and foundations, I don't mind spending money on. That's like the most important to makeup items for me. Now, some of you might think this is disgusting, and it probably is. But if I wasn't a YouTuber, would I have that many palettes? Definitely not. A lot of it is because I want to review them for you, show them to you, try them so you don't have to, and you can make your own decision if to buy it or not. And I've had a lot of palettes. There hasn't been a lot that I hated, and there have been a few, but also sometimes I buy them just for review, and if I know I already have something similar or I'm not that into it, I give it away to nieces, friends. I've also once donated huge box to a women's shelter. You know, it's for women that had to run with nothing from their abusive relationship or whatever, and they're trying to start their life, maybe looking for a job, but they can't afford to go and buy makeup. So I've done that once. I've sent a huge box of stuff. So I do give away a lot of my palettes, but I have here palettes and eyeshadows that are so old that they probably could cause you harm. But I can't bear to get rid of them. So where shall I start? Shall I start off what I've got the most of? Probably. You know that I love Charlotte Tilbury, and I think these are all the palettes that I have. So I have 3 of the big ones. Can't remember now which one was the first one. This one is Stars in Your Eyes. I think this one was the first one. Absolutely love this palette, especially this first row for like every day. But as you can see, I haven't used much of anything else, so I need to go back to using that. Then I have the Starry Eyes to Hypnotize, which is the blue one. Here it is. You see, with Charlotte, the problem is all her palettes are very similar. I just saw her holiday palette preview, and it's beautiful, but it has some of these greens, has some of these colors and some pinks, and I'm thinking, well, I have all that, I don't need it. Although I really want it, because I'm almost like a collector of her eyeshadows. The quality is second to none. So this one is probably one that I use the least. I don't use that many greens, and these are like khaki greens. I have palettes with like greys somewhere else that have more choice, and of course these are so similar to so many things that I have. This one is probably my least favorite from Charlotte Tilbury. And then I have the silver one, Bejeweled Eyes to Hypnotize. This is really pretty. This one, but you know, if you compare it to the first one, they are not that different, are they? So I think with Charlotte, I love these big palettes as a collector items, but I think I like the small ones as well. So from her small ones, I think I had more than this. I had the Sophisticated, I had, you know, the very first quads that came out, but I must have given them away as well. I think this one was my latest one, and that is Fire Rose. Love this one, beautiful. Again, haven't been using it, but again, these are more of my winter shades. Then I have the Desert Haze, which I used last week, I think, and this is beautiful. These are all matte. But then I have the Charlotte Darling, which I love for the summer. But if you look at these two, you see the two last colors here are similar to these two, and also in this one you have some shimmers. So they are all very similar. And then what's that one? And Pillow Talk. Pillow Talk is beautiful, it's a bit more pinky, so I love all these. So these are my Charlotte Tilbury. Now the second brand that I have the most shadows from is Natasha Denona now. So I've started with the little ones. I also had the mini retro palette, which looks nothing like her new big retro. It had like a green color in there. I think, was that my first Natasha Denona palette? And I really didn't like it, and I thought, what is the fuss about? So I gave that one away. But I have the Mini Love palette, which is beautiful, and actually this one goes probably much better with the new retro palette. Then I have the Mini Zendo, which is beautiful too. Then I have the 5-pan that are a bit bigger. Can you see they are bigger? I have the number 10, very pretty, but I don't use it that much. These are more, yes, you can get a look with that on its own, but these are nice as complementary palettes to other palettes. And then I have the number 08, and I love that one purely for these two peachy eyeshadows. And then I have 3 big ones. I've got the Zendo, and I think out of all my Natasha Denona palettes, this one is probably my least favorite color wise. I like this bit, but I have so many colors like this, and the greens I don't use that much. Then I have the Glam palette, which is gorgeous. Love the Glam palette. And of course the latest one you've seen is the Retro palette, and this is everything. This is my favorite Natasha Denona palette. Okay, then Pat McGrath, you know, that's a new brand to me as well. Love the eyeshadows. I don't like the packaging. I know it's very luxurious, but it's so heavy. I would never take that traveling. This is probably the heaviest palette that I've ever had. And this is the Divine Rose, the original one, Mothership 7. Love that one as well. I've just read on the back here, I never noticed this. It says, use without caution. Shade throwing and eye ecstasy, my result with prolonged use. Beautiful palette, love them. And then I got the little quad, which was the Venus in Fleur. Again, beautiful, but to be honest, if you've got this one, you probably don't need this one, because even though they are different shadows, you can get very similar look. Can you see? So these 3 brands are like my luxurious favorite brands. Now let's go through some really old ones. I show you the oldest ones that I have, and I have them, I made up my own palettes. So in here I have some Makeup Geek eyeshadows and MAC. In here I've got all like matte different browns. and I should really get rid of them. I mean, do you remember I bought all these like Makeup Geek and MAC eyeshadows when I probably was a year into doing YouTube? So it has been so long. These must be like 7 years old or something like that. Shouldn't be really using them. But like these Makeup Geek ones, the foiled eyeshadows are so beautiful that I cannot bring myself to throw them away. And then I think in here I have some more of a mauvey ones from Makeup Geek and MAC. Can't bring myself to throw it away, even though if I looked in all these eyeshadows, I probably have those colors in the other ones. So I should really, I find it so hard, especially if it's something old and really dear to me. In here I've got my own palette as well with odd eyeshadows, and I think most of them, I think there are some Sydney Grays here, yeah, and some Polish Affect and Glam Shop, I think, yeah. And these are like these funky, you know, really shiny, gorgeous eyeshadows. But I've noticed I bought them just to have them as a complementary shadows to my other palettes, but I don't really use it. I don't remember about them. I mean, they are the most gorgeous eyeshadows, look at that, ever, but I just don't pull them out. Then one that I haven't bought long ago is the Delilah Color Intense eyeshadow palette in Jezebel. This is really lovely palette. This is cool palette along the lines of the Natasha Denona Glam palette, so very similar colors. Okay, now I've got Tatty Beauty palette. Look how dirty it is. And do you remember when this first came out? I love this palette. It's amazing, very good quality. She did it very different way. Like all these eyeshadows are exactly the same tone, just different finish. And to me, this is, although it's beautiful, it's a bit of a waste, you know, because you virtually have just 2, 4, 6 colors, six of the same, just in different finishes. But the palette is beautiful, and when I first got it, I did few looks with it, and I wouldn't get rid of it because it's a good palette. Then another really old palette is the Morphe and Jaclyn Hill, her first palette. This palette is great. Although in here you've got more of warm eyeshadows. Again, it's very big, so not as easy to use, but the eyeshadows in here are very good quality. I don't want to get rid of that because I really like it. Then Colourpop Stone Cold Fox. Now I don't buy a lot of Colourpop because it's not easy to get here. We don't have any online shop that sells Colourpop. I have to order it from the US, directly from US, and it takes quite a long time to arrive. But this is another really lovely palette, again along the lines of Natasha Denona Glam palette, all these cool taupey and grey colors. They are tiny, but you've got so many. This is really great palette if you like these colors. Okay, I'm getting a bit confused. Right, here, these are a bit older palettes as well. Too Faced. I've had lots of Too Faced eyeshadow palettes, and most of them I like. I found that with Too Faced it's really hit and miss with the quality of eyeshadows. But one that I love is the from the Tutti Frutti collection. I don't know if they still sell it. This is Razzle Dazzle Berry. This palette is beautiful, and this eyeshadow here, it's just to die for. So I'm definitely keeping that one. And then the Natural Lust palette. I remember buying it in New York about 3 years ago. Again, this is more on a cooler side. beautiful palette, beautiful colors, so I wouldn't get rid of this one either. Okay, what else? Another really old palette, and I would still recommend it. I have a spare one, so I've had 3 now. The first one I finished, and I bought another one, and my friend sent me one from US because again Lorac is quite hard to get here, although one website started selling it, but I don't know. This palette is very old. This is the Lorac Unzipped, the original one, not Unzipped Gold, and this to this day is one of my favorite palettes. If I was in a rush and I had to pack eyeshadow palette and I just wanted one, and I knew that whenever I do a look with this palette it will look beautiful, is this one. So I'll never get rid of that. I've got a still brand new one. Absolutely love it. It's quite messy, but the colors are gorgeous, the quality is gorgeous, so really love the Lorac Unzipped. Now this palette, I can't find the other one. I've got 2 from Affect. This is a Polish Pro brand, and you can get it online. It's not that difficult, and this was created by Karolina Matraszek. This doesn't look anything special. This is all matte, naturally matte is called, and I've got another one and I can't find it. Maybe it's in my other box. This palette is quite inexpensive, but the quality is amazing. Do you remember I always tell you about matte light shadow, that I like it to be really saturated and really showing? Well, this is one of them, and then this one, you know, to apply it all over the lid and that it shows. These are beautiful. The quality is so good, they blend beautifully. Love this palette. Very small, very light. By the way, I am not going to put all these in the description box. It will take me hours. Whenever I do looks with these palettes, I always give you a link to those. Just whenever I show you something, just pause the video and maybe Google it yourself. It's just far too much for me to list them all and put links for UK and US to every single one. When I do a makeup with any of these, I always do the links, but yeah, too much. So I have another one, and I can't remember what it's called either, and I'm panicking because I don't know where it is. Oh, this one that I just bought from Catrice, the Next Gen Nudes. I kept it. I got quite nice look from it, but will I keep it? Again, I've got very similar colors in other palettes and better quality palettes, but this was a good palette. I did a look with, couple of looks I think with that one. Now I have couple of Juvia's Place palettes. I've got the Deuce and I have the Masquerade Mini. I know they're called mini, but they're not mini at all. It's a huge palette. So this is the Masquerade. Again, the eyeshadows are amazing. I mean, when you put your finger in it, they feel like butter. The saturation, the pigmentation is out of this world. Now this Masquerade, obviously it has a lot of browns here that I can use, but again, I've got loads of browns, but I loved all these colors. So when now and again I do colorful look, which is not very often, I would use these because they are so beautiful. Again, hardly ever use it. I might actually pull it out now and again because of these real foiled eyeshadows, but I can't bring myself to get rid of that because it's a great quality. And then again this one as well, because it has more colorful eyeshadows. Look at the size of these eyeshadows. They like the size of blushes, so enormous. And Juvia's Place is quite inexpensive, and honestly the quality is great. If you've never tried one of her palettes, She has some palettes that are not as crazy, but she does, most of her palettes are very colorful. Then I have the two from BH Cosmetics. I'm actually wearing BH Cosmetics because I just filmed the video. I'm wearing the Barcelona one. You know how much I love, for drugstore, these are probably my favorite eyeshadow palettes, BH Cosmetics. The quality is amazing. Now Tarte, I probably have had every Tarte palette that's ever come out and got rid of them at some point. Again, not because I didn't like them, because I had something new, and my stash was getting too big. This is the latest one, the Juicy. Again, beautiful, very delicate day palette. I would call it almost wedding palette. So here it has more pinks and some browns. Beautiful palette. Now you can't get this Juicy anymore. What they did, they brought Juicy Mini and then Midi, I think. This is the big one. They've got one that is a bit smaller and one that is even smaller than this. I don't know what is the point. I also heard that the little one, the quality of the eyeshadows is not the same as in here. So yeah, you can't get this one for some reason. I don't know why they did that. This is beautiful palette. The packaging is gorgeous, so I don't understand it. This is another old one, but one that I look at with fondness the same way as I look at the Loracan Zipped, and this is Dose of Colors Marvelous Mauves. These are all matte shadows and I absolutely love the look that I get out of this palette. And again, this light color here is very saturated, so love this palette. Then you might remember the Dior Soft Cashmere. Again, beautiful, love this palette, very delicate. You're not gonna get very dark look out of it, but again, it's the same color story as the Natasha Denona Glam palette. If I had the Glam palette before this, I probably wouldn't buy it. It's beautiful. Dior is very expensive for just 5 eyeshadows, whereas in Natasha Denona I've got so many more. So it's not that I don't like it. If I had the Glam palette first, I wouldn't bother with that one. Then I have the Tom Ford Coco Mirage. This used to be such a popular brand. I don't hear much about Tom Ford. I actually think that Lisa D1 might have sent me this one. We sometimes would send each other some stuff, you know. Again, really lovely quad. They are very expensive, and yeah, I use it, but again, these colors, I have lots of colors like this, but it's, you know, Tom Ford. The quality is just like, I would say, Charlotte Tilbury. Wasn't she actually a creative director for Tom Ford with their makeup? I think that's what it was. And then my last one, I think, that I bought was the Urban Decay Naked 3 Mini that I wasn't too happy about. Nothing special, but I'm keeping it because if I want cool look, no fuss, not too dark, because you can't really make it very dark, like I told you that day, is quite insignificant look, but it's still quite pretty, and for everyday cool, quick, that I don't have to think much about, I can use that. And then I have Sigma. I have the Rendezvous eyeshadow palette, the small one. I don't know if you can still get it. Absolutely love it. At the beginning of the summer, I was wearing it on my eyes every day. Then do you remember they have sent me this is the newest one, I think, the Ambience palette. Again, really beautiful, but a bit similar colors to what I've got here. they are a bit samey in here. But if you are someone that only wears these type of warm colors, you would love it. Plenty of choice. And then these new ones that came out, again, I only kept two. There was another one that was a bit green that I wasn't that into, but I kept the Ritzy and Hazy. Hazy, of course, because it's more of a mauvey one, so that's like a winter palette, and Ritzy, a bit warmer one, and these are my colors as well. These are very good. I love Sigma eyeshadows. And that's it. I know it might seem a lot, but when I look at it as a YouTuber, I feel this is nothing. You know, I see some YouTubers, they probably have every palette from every brand that's ever come out. I would have nowhere to keep it and I would never use it all. As it happens, I don't use everything that I have here, but I do use a lot, but that's just because I put eye makeup on every single day. So and I justify it by how much I love eyeshadows and I do put eyeshadow on every day. A lot of you often ask me to do a video on how I store my makeup. I've done it a couple of times and that's the problem. Please make sure if you are subscribed to me that you have the notification button turned on, because then you will get alerted every time I release new video and you won't miss it. I think the latest one I did when I've changed my furniture in my bedroom into that mirrored furniture, I'm sure I've shown you how I store my makeup in there. So if I find this video, I will link it here again or in a description box so you can have a look at that. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching and I see you soon. Stay fabulous. Bye.